What's up, guys? This is Cito, and welcome back to Sad MMA. Now, unfortunately, today this is going to be a bit different just because AK and Dez were not able to make it to the video in time, but we did end up making a video idea for you guys, and here it is. Today, we got the best dads in the UFC, and we're going to be ranking them by division, right? So, how this is going to work is that by each division, we're going to have our pick, and then we're going to have our honorable mention, right? So it's just gonna be two fighters on each screen, right? So now starting off with flyweight, we have Alexandre Pantoja. Now, to me, Alexandre Pantoja made the most sense. If you look at his story, and you'll see how proud of he is, being able to bring his family from Brazil to the U.S. and just give him a better future and having a better living space potentially. Maybe if he lived in the favelas or whatever. But yeah, I think he's constantly proud of his kids, and he's always talking about his kids, and he just seems like a good family man, right? He just seems like an older, maybe like a wiser dad. That's what he seems like to me, just like a good dad, right? And if you watch his post-fight interview after he won the belt the first time, speaking about how his dad just wasn't there for him, I think he sees that as, hey, I gotta do better than that, right? I gotta be better than who that guy was for me and for my family, right? So I can do better for me and my own family. And in our honorable mention section, we had Brandon Moreno. So unfortunately, in flyweight, it's a bit hard to find good parents. Not that there aren't good parents in the flyweight division, but just aren't ones that are very vocal about their family, or whatever. So Brandon Moreno made the most sense to me. Him and his daughter. I think he's shown her a few times now, like in a few clips of him. He was having her in the octagon, just showing her to everybody. And so to me, Brandon Moreno just seems like a nice dad. He just seems like a nice little goofy dad. Probably plays toys with his kids. That's who he seems like. He just seems like that good dad, right? Just maybe buying figurines and just playing with them, right? Um, so to me, Brandon Moreno was a good pick for honorable mention. And moving on to the bantamweight division, we have Sugar Sean O'Malley. Now, if you don't know much about Sean O'Malley, at first glance you might think, really, is he a really great dad or whatever? Just because he seems a bit more like an influencer online. He has like this crazy persona, all these tattoos on his faces, and the crazy hair, and he has like this open relationship with his wife and stuff. And so at first you might think, oh man, this guy might not be the best dad. But if you know about his story and stuff, you know that he's always wanted to be a dad, right? He's always loved the thought of having a kid and being able to cherish and be affectionate towards another one, right? And if you watch the embedded series during his 5 weeks, you know that he's always cared about her, and he just always loves showing her off and talking about how great of a dad he is, right? He doesn't really care about much else. He doesn't really like showing any kind of sparring footage or talks like that on podcasts or whatever. He loves showing his daughter, right? I think he's very proud of that. I think he holds that to a higher standard than anything else he's ever done in his life. Now to the honorable mention, we have Pyotr Yan. Again, like just like the flyweight division, it was kind of hard to find some good dads in bantamweight. Maybe you could use like Rob Font potentially, right? But to me, I thought Peter Yan was a great dad. There's an ongoing joke with us that his kids are a little bit demonic just because they look like mini evil little versions of himself. And that clip of him in the post fight interview, his son telling him, brother, my son told me, brother, what the fuck, dude, like his son seemed funny. He seems funny. I bet he'd be like with those dads that kind of just love rough playing with them. Just like love horse playing in the house. Probably like just punching him a little bit and stuff. But yeah, I think Peter Yan enjoys his kids a lot. I think them going into the octagon after his fights, or I think that means a lot. It's just saying how proud they are of him. And yeah, so moving on to the featherweight division, we have Alex Volkanovski. Now, I thought this was very obvious, right? This is like you can't really think of a better pick than this, right? At least not to me. I mean, you could probably argue Jose Aldo, right? Maybe one of these other guys, but no way. I think Volkanovski is an amazing dad. He knows how to cook. He's a girl. He's a girl dad. Excuse me. And yeah, I think he's a funny guy. I don't think he'd be like some tough little girl dad, like the ones that you can't bring a guy back to the house or nothing like that. I think he's a great dad, right? I thought it was very funny though during like the gender reveal when he saw like I think it was like his fourth daughter or something like that. It showed pink, and he goes, he made that kind of look of like, oh man, I kind of wish it was a boy, right? I thought that was very funny. Or like that clip of his daughter is like, what if Islam Makhachev comes to get me? I thought that was very funny. So he seems like he has an amazing relationship with all these girls that he has, and yeah, that's very proud to have. And to the honorable mention section, it was kind of, I mean, to me, I thought you could argue Conor McGregor, but obviously with his recent scandals and stuff and the accusations and the issues that he's gone, I don't think you can call him a family man. Not that he's not a good dad. Like I don't think he's a bad dad at all. I feel like Conor McGregor is very proud of his kids and his family. It's just he kind of cheats on his wife a lot, and he has like this weird sort of he's just a weirdo. He loves lifting weights. But anyways, so Brian Ortega, I think Brian Ortega is a great dad, right? He's always constantly showing these videos of him playing Fortnite with his kids, and he loves talking about his kids on podcasts and stuff. And so yeah, I think he loves having his two boys and stuff, right? Not much to say about Ortega, just because again, it's kind of hard finding really great dads in featherweight. So yeah, moving on to lightweight though, we have the best is blessed, brother. Bro, I think Max Holloway is the best dad in the UFC, right? I think he takes gold, honestly. I mean, I think, fuck it. Yeah, I think he's the best. I just think he's the best, bro. I think he's the daddest man on the planet. Like he says all the time, he needs to challenge DC for that belt already. But yeah, I mean, like, look at the relationship that he has with Rush, right? So, I think what's special about Rush is that Rush was there since Max was young, right? I think Rush was able to grow up with Max in a way to where Max was just starting his career when he had him, right? He was a young guy. I think he was maybe like 19 years old or something like that. He was very young, 18, 17 even. Um, and so Rush got to see his entire career unfold. He got to see him lose. He got to see him win the belt. He got to see him have a skid. He got to see him, get knocked out for the first time. He was there for all of that. And so I think that relationship with his dad is, I think that's something very special and what they cherish with each other. They kind of look like friends. They look like Max made a new buddy for himself, right? And so yeah, that's my reasonings for Max. And moving on to the honorable mention, dude. I mean, there's nobody else, right? I mean, Charles Oliveira. I mean, who? I mean, I'd love for him to be my dad. Am I right? Am I wrong? I mean, who doesn't want Charles Oliveira to be their dad? He he's just such a great guy, right? I mean, everybody loves this guy for who he is. And I feel like he's very affectionate, and I love his talk about how his career changed after he had his first daughter, Tyla, right? And he thinks that it was God's gift to him, and I think that's a very beautiful story to have, right? And now with his recent son being born, Dominic, I think that's just only gonna help him even more, right? And so, no matter how many times he loses or wins, he knows that in the end, he won in life by having these children, and by having God's gift, right? Now, moving on to welterweight. Taking what from who? Bro, Kamaru Usman, man. Come on, man. Dude, there aren't. I mean, you can make a good pick for Bilal, right? As y'all know, Bilal had that kid that he's been saved, that he had saved from Gaza, right? I mean, that was a very touching video that we got to see from Bilal and how he acted and stuff. But, I mean, in terms of parent to child, though, I think Kamaru Usman takes it, man. I think he's very proud of his daughter. I think he loves his daughter very much. And in his recent fight to Buckley, you could see that, and he was very heartbroken, and he felt very sad not having her there, right? And he had even mentioned that. And so to me, I think Kamaru Usman, I feel like he's a very noble, very stoic kind of dad. I think he'd be great at teaching lessons and stuff. Think of like Mufasa. Yeah, think of like Mufasa from The Lion King. I feel like that's how he is, right? Just very noble man. Now moving on to the honorable mention. I going out there and I had a kid, bro. Ian Gary. For how much y'all don't really like him, at least I don't think the fans like him that much. I think Ian Gary is an amazing dad. Actually, I think he's an amazing parent. I think he embodies that, right? I think he just loves having his kid around. He just seems very proud of his son, right? Always having him around during fight week, has him around at, everywhere. He's just always having his kid around, teaching him how to walk, teaching him how to fight. Just always there for him, right? So how much we don't really like him as the fans, at least for me, I don't have a problem with him. But as much as, people like to give him shit, I think he's a great guy and a great parent. Now moving on to middleweight. Rob, would you ever pick a MMA fight with a woman? I mean, yeah. Bro, Bobby Knuckles is, I mean, just like Max Holloway, I think he's the best dad in the middleweight division, bro. Possibly one of the best in the UFC. I think he's top five, personally. I think he embodies that goofy dad energy perfectly. I think he does it better than anybody else. He's a gamer. He doesn't take anything too serious. He has no controversies. He's funny. He's over here, using like an inflatable unicorn to floaty into the pool and stuff. I think he's an amazing dad. I bet he's funny as hell. Yeah, I think he's just very proud of them. You know, I think he's proud of his family, proud of his wife, and yeah, I think he just looks like that family man, right? That suburban home family man, that homegrown man, right? So, anyways, moving on though to the complete fucking opposite, we got Michael Bisping. Now, it was just hard to think about middleweight dads just because there's like Strickland and Dricus Duplessis and Izzy and Imavov. I mean, you can make a strong argument for Kyle Borhayo. That would have been a good pick too, but I thought it'd be funny to put Michael Bisping in there just because I know his relationship with his sons are funny as hell, and he likes making fun with them and talking shit about them. But yeah, for how much he gives them shit, I think he is a great dad though. And like I said about the thing with Max Holloway, I think it was very special that his sons were able to watch him grow up and see his career unfold the same way that Rush was able to see Max's career unfold. Just because I think Michael Bisping had them at a very young age, right? And so I think that makes it very special. And I just feel like Michael Bisping would have been a great dad, right? Now, moving on to light heavyweight, we have Daniel DC Cormier. Now, to me, this is more touching just because if you know much about DC's origins, right, you'd know that he had a previous daughter back in the past, and she had unfortunately passed away in a horrific car accident that led DC in a very very hard mental struggle after that. And so I think with these new kids that he has, his son and his daughter, I felt like he feels the need to do better than ever, right? So he could give back to what was taken from him, right? And so to me, I think DC embodies that dad energy perfectly. I bet he's a dad that teaches you how to play ball. He's a dad who teaches you how to, fix a tire, or he's always there to help. No matter what, he'll be there on the call, right? He'll bail you out, stuff like that. So yeah, I think DC is an amazing dad. I just know he is. And to the honorable mention, I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious too for this decision. It was Alex Pereira. Now Alex has his kids constantly around him, his two sons that look like grown ass fucking men. Uh, yeah, though, I mean, they just look like each other, and so I think that's pretty funny. But these kids, I think he sees them as like trophies almost. It's like, man, like I was able to get these kids and get me out of like a poor unstable home, right? Because I feel like before all this fame and all this money, I think he was struggling very hard with his two sons. We're having to work in that tire shop and stuff. So yeah, I think Alex Pereira would be a great dad. He loves his kids. He seems like he loves to have them around and stuff. And so yeah, I think he's a great dad. Nothing much else to say about him. And moving on to heavyweight now, we have Stipe Miocic. Now heavyweight. All right. Before I start, I mean, heavyweight was actually very hard to choose from because I think there was a lot of great picks that you could have made for dads, in terms of like Cain Velasquez or Francis Ngannou, or Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar, right? And so to me, I think settling on Stipe was best, but you can make good arguments for the other ones, right? Now starting off though with Stipe, not much to say about him, but with but like you can compare him to like Bobby Knuckles. I just think he just has like that good, like suburban kind of dad. Like he doesn't take things too serious. I think he cherishes his family more than he does his work and stuff. Right? He has a legitimate job as a fireman, and so he doesn't have like like a big personality that's like he doesn't see himself as like a big superstar as the other guys do, in my opinion. Right? So yeah. Like I said, not much to say about Stipe. So moving on to Tom Aspinall. If you, just like DC, right? Tom Aspinall had a pretty troubled past, as he couldn't really pay well for his kids, right? So there was a time where, he couldn't be able to pay for gas to put in his car, or, his kids were, there just wasn't enough money to, feed them as well, right? And so if you watch that video of him winning his first bonus in the UFC and getting that first 50K, you can see how much that meant to him. Being able to, being able to realize that what he does pays off well, right? And that all his hard work, does something for him and his family. And so yeah, like I said, not much to say about these two guys. Again, sorry. Um, but yeah, that's heavyweight for you. And again, let me know what y'all thought about this idea in the comment section below. Let me know if y'all like these videos. Again, sorry. I mean, my commentary by myself is a bit bad. I think so. So sorry if you had to listen to my voice for so long, right? But anyways, I'll be sure to have AK and Dez back in the next video. And I love you guys. And let us know in the comment section below what y'all want to see. And yeah, Love you. See you.